So now we're in the section where we're going to be doing multiplication and division. This is the point at which you start counting sig figs. If you remember addition subtraction section, we weren't counting sig figs. We were just drawing this little vertical line, and that's how we knew it around. So you will be doing more multiplication and division in chemistry than you will be addition subtraction, but you'll be doing some of both. So you do need to be able to count, and you need to be able to get your sig figs correct with your multiplication division. So I'm kind of someone who likes less rules. I'm going to show two ways to think about doing the sig figs, and it's just kind of whatever works for you as a person. If you like a lot of rules, I'm going to spell out some rules. And if you don't like rules, I've kind of got a visual demonstration to help. So when do zeros count? Just so you know, if you've got other numbers like a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or any number up to 9, those are numbers that will always count. So just as a note, those kinds of numbers always count. That makes it easy, right? Most of the numbers you come across are actual numbers and not zeros. The big to-do is what do you do with zeros? So they count when they're in the middle. So like if I have 1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, the ones always count. That's this first thing. And then when they're in the middle, these zeros also count. And I could also give it a decimal in there. And look, I've still got zeros that are between numbers. So they still count. The numbers count because the top rule, and then, like I said, the zeros in the middle, they count. And there's only one other time when zeros count, but it's a two-part thought process. So zeros to the right of numbers, if and only if it has a decimal. So you got to have both parts if it has a decimal. All right, so like an answer that has a decimal. So if I said 25.0, hey, it's got a decimal, so this rule works for him. If I say 2.7000, that's got a decimal. Even if I say 200 like that, it's got a decimal. In all those cases, of course, these numbers already counted because they were not zeros. And then over here on the right, because it is a 0 to the right of a number, so that 0 is to the right of the 5, he counts. These zeros count. And again, because there's a decimal and they're to the right of a number, they do count. So if I go back and I wanted to see how many sig figs these two zero rules had, I would say this one has 4 and this one has 4 sig figs. If I want to count this one, I would say this one has 3 sig figs, this one has 5 sig figs, and this one has 3 sig figs. And then people are like, well, what about all the other cases? All the other cases, those zeros do not count. So if you really want to know what doesn't count, so when they're on the left of a number with a decimal, so like 0.25, that's on the left, he does not count. And also, this goes to the second rule, if there's no decimal and the 0 is to the right. So I'm going to give this crazy example, this 200, but without the decimal. So I always think it works just to kind of sometimes memorize or learn the simplest rules, which is here's when zeros do count and all the rest of the time they don't. But you can also remember all the rules if you like to do it that way. We're going to be including a lot of videos also, and you'll see a lot of different ways that people think about this. Some people like to use words like trailing zeros, and there's a place value of zeros. There's all these terms for where these zeros are, but I kind of like simple speak, like middle, right, left. All right, so I'm going to make one more little category here to show you